Welcome to Mental Health Matters podcast with Séamus Corry. This episode includes in-depth discussions on topics surrounding mental health, including experiences with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and feelings of despair. We recognize that these subjects may be sensitive to some of you, our listeners, and we encourage you to take good self-care. Please listen at your own pace and don't hesitate to pause or seek support if needed. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody, wherever you might be in this beautiful world of ours, and welcome to Mental Health Matters. Real stories, real recovery. And it's great to have you along and listen to this episode this afternoon. I just want to take a moment to thank all those who have connected with me, who have subscribed to my channel and who have followed me online, particularly listening to these podcasts. And I do hope they're helping and supporting you if you are struggling with your mental health to both seek hope, but also to seek support if you are struggling right now. As always, there is a trigger warning with this episode. We will be talking about some subjects that may be triggering from you, and I would ask please that if you are triggered to reach out and get some help and get some support and look after yourself and take care of yourself. I would say pause the episode listening, seek help and support, and then come back to it at a time when you're ready. Today I'm joined by someone who I first popped up on my LinkedIn feed, who has the same mission statement as me. Mental health matters. How conducive and coincidental was that? And I've been desperate to get her on my podcast. It's her first podcast episode ever, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and whoever it might be. So be really gentle with her today, as I'm going to be. I'd like to welcome to Mental Health Matters this afternoon, Aisha Esat this afternoon. Hi, Aisha. How are you?
Hello, Séamus. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's my first, as you've mentioned, so it's a real treat and a pleasure. And I'm so excited.
Fantastic. Listen, it's great to have you. As I've said before we started recording, I think you're a light in the darkness for people at the moment. I think your posts are really resonating. They resonate with me, and I think they resonate with a whole load of people out there, particularly on LinkedIn. If you're not connected with Aisha already, please connect with her on LinkedIn. She's also on Facebook. She's also on Instagram, and her links to her various pages will be available in the show notes once this recording goes out. But Aisha,
Thank you.
I know very little about you. I think what moved me initially was your profile piece when you describe yourself in a little bit of detail, and we're going to unpack that in some detail as we go forward with this episode this afternoon. But listen, for those, including myself, who don't know you that well, who is Aisha Esat? Tell us all about
Okay,
you.
let's talk. Okay. Well, my name's Aisha, as you've said. I'm 39. I have been battling with my mental health all my life. I can't remember a time where I was normal, as it were. I've always been a bit different, always struggled, but obviously going back when I was in my teens and early 20s, mental health wasn't as much at the forefront as it is now. So you sort of just felt I'm a bit odd, I'm a bit strange, I don't fit in. There weren't the labels that there are today. So I've always struggled. Briefly, I've had depression, anxiety, eating disorders, all the eating disorders you can imagine. I've had exercise addiction, body image problems, all that sort of thing. Been very isolated over the years, so loneliness has also been a factor for me. In terms of treatment, I've been on antidepressants, I've been in counselling on and off over the years, self-help, all this, this self-help reading, that sort of stuff. I've done it all. I feel that I've gained a real insight over the years into all things mental health. And the main thing for me is now my primary motivation for everything I do is to just help people that are struggling, because I know what it's like. I've had bouts in my life where I've been housebound. I've not left the house for literally months on end, had no one to talk to. I've been, as you said, trigger warning, suicidal. I have many times, and you do feel that there's no hope. And sometimes you mentioned in our intro before we started recording, you said posts aren't always going to be happy days and it's all jolly jolly, because that isn't mental health. And I really appreciate every post and everything that people do for mental health, but sometimes it isn't pretty, it isn't nice, it's not easy. You can't just get up and see the sunshine and see the flowers and think, woo, it's great, because it isn't. And
No.
I think a lot more needs to be done to show the ugly side of mental illness, the warts and all, as it were,
Mm.
because it's so hard when you're sitting there destitute to think, oh, that person's just happy. Oh, I'm just being negative. I need to see it in a brighter way. It isn't always like that. I mean, I'm sure, like myself, you've seen people posting uplifting stuff, and if you can't connect to it, you just feel shunned. You feel isolated. You think, well, they make it look so easy. Maybe I am ungrateful, and this, that, and the other. Whereas, if when I was really down, if I'd have seen a post where someone was in a corner crying, hadn't put their makeup on, hadn't brushed their teeth, I'd have thought that person's real. I can connect with that. That's something I can relate to. I'm
Mm.
not saying we all want to be in that state, of course not. But if someone knows that you can go from that really dark and ugly spot to functioning, to surviving, then to thriving, that progression.
Yeah.
And I want to share that experience, that you can go from the ugliness to the better days. And I'm rambling now, but I just want to help people, because I know what it's like.
Aisha, and clearly your passion, it comes through, and
I hope so.
oh, it absolutely comes through. I can
Mm,
feel it on the other side of this camera,
yeah. Mm.
and I'm, 200 odd miles away from where you are. Where do you find yourself at the moment? Which part of the country do you live in?
I'm in Scotland. I'm in Cooper Angus. It's a small place in Scotland, very near Dundee and Perth, that sort of area, right in the middle.
Lovely,
Yeah.
lovely, lovely. And I know you're in the process of using your experience for good
Mm.
and for positive. Am I right in saying you're training as a counselor at the moment?
I am, yeah, I've done several
Wow.
online courses, like a
Oh,
level 4 counselling is my highest thus far. I'm currently thinking about going back to uni to get a degree in psychology or counselling. However, obviously that costs a lot of money, it's a lot of time and a lot of investment, and I just want to get out there now. I'm hungry to get started now. So I'm pursuing other avenues. Is there sort of some sort of like apprenticeship scheme, where I can work and earn at the same time? Ideally, I would like to just help people for nothing, for charity, but obviously we all need an income. So I'm thinking about what I can do for like paid work to sustain myself, obviously. But I'm currently enrolled on an open uni degree, which I start in February. So if nothing else sort of comes to pass, that is what I'll be doing, with the aim of, getting a degree in psychology, and then specialising in counselling. But obviously, if something else comes to light in the meantime, I'll do that. I just want to help and want to equip myself with as much knowledge as I can. Because, like yourself, I've got the lived experience.
yeah.
And I think, and that's another thing I'm passionate about, I think more jobs should be available and created for people with lived in experience, because you can't put a price on that. Anyone can learn a textbook and learn things and recite them and refer back. But if you've lived it, it's priceless. It's like I always use the analogy of it like a personal trainer. If you're struggling with your weight and say you've got 5 stone to lose, a marathon to train for, and someone opposite you is telling you, right, get up at 6 o'clock, go for a run, and they've never so much as gained a pound in their life, they've never been unfit, you
Yeah.
think, yeah, I hear you, I respect you, but you've not lived it. Whereas if you've got someone who's struggled with their weight, who's gone from couch potato to a runner, you're going to resonate with them so much more. And I think people like ourselves that have lived the experience with mental health, you're just more believable. You've been there, you've done it. You're not preaching to preach. You're saying, I've been there. I'm not asking you to do anything that I've not done, And I
Yeah.
just feel that to come from that avenue is much more real and approachable, I think, and
Yeah.
believable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when we will look back over our individual lives and we recognize, our mental health journey, we recognize quite clearly that for yourself, as is the case for me, I recognize that my mental health journey started
Yeah.
way back when I
Yeah.
was, very small.
Mm.
And when did it start for you, Aisha? When did your mental health
Mm.
start
I
for
mean,
you?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, when you're young, you don't identify it as a mental health problem. But
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, when I was at school, like I was the only non-white child, so I got a bit of bullying with that, and you start to go into yourself. And I was a chubby child, so I was aware of my weight, and
Mm.
I think that again, I withdrew, and you just your personality starts to get debilitated from that point, from that
Yeah.
early stage. Whereas when you're as a child, you don't see anything from it. You just think, oh, this is a bit tricky, or you're upset. But when you reflect on it, you think, oh, if only I'd have been stronger then, because there was a lot of things I would have done when I was younger that I would have put myself out for that I wouldn't have had the courage to then,
Mm.
because you're blighted by certain things like your weight, your appearance. So I guess it starts there. And I know very early on I developed an eating disorder. Again, I wouldn't have recognized it at the time, but
Yeah.
when I was about 9, I was very chubby, and obviously then I sort of stopped eating, and I got into all sorts of troubles with my food. So I guess as young as 9, I would say, is when it
Oh,
all started. Yeah,
wow. Wow.
yeah.
And you're 39 now,
Mm.
so you've battled with your mental health in various
Yeah, I'd
issues
say my
throughout.
whole life. I
Yeah.
mean, like you, I mean, I think with most people that are prone to it, I don't think it ever really leaves you. I
No,
think the best we can achieve, the best we can aim for is living with it and managing it.
absolutely.
And we aim for, say, 9 out of 10 days where our mental health is good. But I mean, even like a couple of weeks ago, I had a day where I just thought, I can't get up today. The blinds stayed down. I didn't get up. I made it up eventually by about midday. I thought, right, come on, you can do this. But I hold my hands up. I don't, I'm never going to promise anyone that it's going to be hunky dory the whole time. It's not. I
Mm.
don't believe, I wish I could say there's a cure, but there isn't. I wish I could say you'll never have a day where you're blighted again, but I doubt that. However, you can absolutely live a full and healthy life, even if you do battle. You can.
Absolutely.
You
And
absolutely can.
we're proof of that, Aisha,
Exactly.
right? We're
Yeah,
proof of that. And
100%.
I heard a lovely quote. I was listening to another podcast, and there was a guy on that who says he doesn't aim for 100%, but he
Mm.
aims for 52% each day.
Oh, that's good enough. That's more than enough.
I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
I
I
like
like
that.
that. I like that. And I
Yeah,
have to say, just to, you know, divulge a little bit, when you've done that,
yeah,
a big mental health charity for me is Andy's Man's Club. So just do a little shout out to them. That is their sign, and
absolutely.
love it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I hope if Andy's Manx Club is
Mm.
listening to this podcast,
I hope
I
so.
want I want to have somebody on from Andy's Manx Club.
There's so
So
many of them.
get
Check
in
out
touch.
Alex. Check out Alex. He's on my Facebook page. Lovely guy. He's affiliated strongly with Andy's Man's Club. He would love to get on your podcast.
Bring it on. I'm
To
ready.
your
I'm ready.
details. Yep, yep,
I'm
definitely.
I'm ready for it. And
Yeah.
you speak quite eloquently and honestly about your own mental health journey and your own mental health struggles.
Mm.
What what gets you through, Aisha? What gets you through on a daily basis?
To be honest, there's lots of things. I mean, I'll get emotional talking about, but my mum, as you saw from my post the other
Yeah.
day, my mum is my world. She is 5'2". She's Diddy, but she has got the biggest heart ever. So I think it's always been me and her because I'm an only child. We've been for whatever various reasons. I won't bore you with it now, but we've been very isolated. So it's pretty much from day dot just been me and my mum. We have got through all and sundry together. So she's always been my motivation. She's been my champion. She's been the one there, that little voice saying, you can do it, it'll be all right. She's been behind me all the way. So I feel when I'm struggling, if I ever want to give up, I think, no, I owe it to my mum to keep going. So she is my first and foremost motivation. Secondly, would be other people because I know what it's like to be on your own. and to struggle. And I just want to, for those people that are struggling, that don't have a family, that don't have a network of friends, because I think a lot of social media, we get this wrong perception that everyone's got loads of friends, everyone's busy, everyone's out and about and on adverts, everyone's laughing and happy. And some people aren't like that. Some people are isolated, housebound for mental or physical reasons, or plain social reasons. Social anxiety is a massive issue.
Huge.
So for those people that can't be reached by the obvious mediums of going out and this, that, and the other, or work, not everyone works. If you can reach people through social media or what have you, that they're my motivation. People that think there's no one that understands me. That's my motivation, I think.
Absolutely, and I fully concur with you. And I think
Yeah.
the more social media progresses in this
Mm,
country, with
mm,
let's be honest, very
yeah,
limited or no moderation
yeah,
at all
yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah.
You can get the very best and the very worst
Mm,
in terms of social media.
mm,
And I know for me, one of the things that I've stopped doing to
mm,
improve my mental health is to
mm.
stop listening to the news on
Yes,
TV,
same here.
right?
Speaking of the news, what gets me is that the news is 24/7 nowadays,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Why can't we have 10 minutes before you get the standard, your headlines, etc.
yeah,
Why can't every hour from 10 to the hour, can't we have feel good stories? Why can't we
absolutely.
have a really feel good story about an animal rescue? Why can't we have 10 minutes about a mental health charity,
Yeah,
10 minutes about a diabetes charity? Why is it doom and gloom and outside? Of course, the international stage matters. Of course, it does. I'm not ignorant. However, we have to look in ourselves first, our own household, our own county, our own country. Let's start small. Let's give an international platform to small companies. Like that the campaign recently they were doing. I think it's called Make Some Noise,
yeah,
where there's like a campaign for small charities to get funding, etc. I know LBC are affiliated with it. That's what we need.
yeah.
Because charities need money. You've got charities, animal charities, mental health charities crying out for support. Why can't BBC News give them some platform, give them a platform? Because the
Absolutely.
news is depressing. Why can't we change the face of the news? I know it can't be, happy days all the time. I'm not saying that, but can't we put the spotlight on matters closer to home with the news?
Absolutely. And
No.
you're probably too young to remember, Aisha, but when I grew up in the Republic of Ireland, when I was a youngster, we only had two TV channels
Mm,
in Ireland, right? And
mm,
the news went off,
mm,
completely off at 11 o'clock at night. I mean,
mm,
it went off air.
yeah.
There was nothing happening.
Mm,
And you're right. We
mm.
are now living in a world, in a culture, in an environment where we're bombarded,
It's just too
literally
much. There is
bombarded
overload. Yeah,
with dopamine filled
yeah,
news
yeah.
on a 24,
Mm,
365 cycle, right?
mm, mm. And that's good because life has changed where people are up all hours. I get that. Some people, again, if you're struggling with your mental health, you might be up all hours. You need
Hmm.
access to information, which is great, but it's so hard to filter yourself. You've got to know when to switch off. You've got to know what stuff is going to, send you on a downward spiral. You've got to have access to the content is great, but it's got to be the right content.
For the right content, the right
You know,
message, right?
yes, absolutely. And because it's the subconscious and subliminal messages that you pick up, they're so subtle. But
Yeah.
before you know it, you're off on one and it's not helpful.
No, and you're down that rabbit hole,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
can't
And you can't get
and
out of it.
you can't get out of it, right?
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
I think the media needs to be far more responsible in the messages they send out. For example, for me, body image is a big thing, and I don't know many. I've like yourself, I try and keep away from a lot of it. To be honest, I probably post more at the moment than I engage with, which is something I'm trying to change. But one thing that sticks out for me are the beauty campaigns, like Dove, the brand Dove, how they use real women, real
Love
people.
that. I
Amazing.
absolutely love that.
We need more of that.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, like last night, I was watching Big Brother and the adverts were all like aftershaves and perfumes, and everyone's perfect,
Yeah.
perfect teeth, perfect skin. And you think that's great. We all have a bit of escapism, but get real people on
Yeah.
these adverts.
And I'm also aware that on these programs like Love Island as well as Big
Mm,
Brother, people will undergo surgery,
surgery.
or get their teeth fixed,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
before. Why, you're absolutely right. Why not be more honest and upfront and
yeah,
transparent
yeah.
about
Be
the real,
real.
to be real
Yeah.
about where people are at, right? And
Mm,
that's
mm.
the news you'll never hear. That's the news
No,
that's never covered.
no.
That's the
And it's
messages
like
that will never
TV
go.
programs, like TV programs. Why does the lead role always have to be someone who's really slim? Why can't we have bigger people in lead roles?
Yeah,
Why does the action man have to be, a James Bond-esque type Mr. Perfect?
yeah.
Because not everyone, for starting, not everyone looks like that. And second of all, who said that is what's beautiful? Who says?
Absolutely. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, we've always
Absolutely.
been
It,
told. And
it
what's
truly
beautiful
is.
and what's beautiful
Yeah.
to the person,
Yeah,
another
but we
person might get
still
to
we
know.
still need a more real representation. When you go to
We
the
do.
shops, when you go to the supermarket, people come in all different shapes and sizes, and that needs to be reflected on TV. It does.
Yeah, it
Because
absolutely
body
does.
image is a big trigger for mental illness. It really is.
Where can I ask a question, Aisha? Where do you get your passion from? Because you're oozing passion, right?
Am I? Oh, I'm
You're
so grateful for that.
where do you get it? Where did that come
I
from?
can't tell you. It's just innate. It's within me. I just care so much. And I think it's because I've just been there and I've done it. And so much gets me fired up. And, you could put me anywhere on a park bench on your podcast and I will talk and talk and talk about it because I'm just so passionate because I care and I know it makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And
You know?
and I know before we press record, I know we spoke about the fact that the more we share our experience
Mm,
and our lived experience and our real
mm.
experience, the more hopefully it will encourage
Yes.
others to open up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
But
don't know
just to
if you
go back, you go.
I don't know if you've experienced it, but there's still a degree of stigma around
Oh.
talking about mental health, right?
There is more than you realise. I mean, it's great, you see this, you see that, and you think, oh, brilliant. And like I say, I mentioned my mum. I'm always saying to her, Mum, guess what I've seen, and this and that, and it's great. But at the same time, despite all that, we are still in the dark ages when it comes to a lot of it. I know the charity Rethink, I sign up for their emails, and they recently sent me a thing about a campaign they're doing about stigma, and people were sharing comments about this, the comments that they've had from people, and you just think, are you kidding me? Do people still think that? Do people still think that if you've got schizophrenia, you're a danger, you're going to murder someone?
Yeah.
Or if you've got depression, you're just ungrateful and this, that, and the other? And it shocks me that whilst we've come all these strides forward, amazing, we've still got such a long way to go. There's such a long way to go. But just to go back to when you said, where does your passion come from? I think it's because I've been quiet for so long. Like I was so shy as a child, and then I was
Mm.
housebound, so I wasn't engaging. Now it's like I wouldn't speak. I wouldn't speak back then. And at school and in parents' evening, they'd always say to my parents, Aisha's got a lot to offer, but she just sits there. She's quiet. She won't put her hand up. She doesn't engage. And I was very self-conscious, and I still am. I don't. I'll never like myself or anything. But now I'm at the point where I don't care. I just want to shout and scream. You can't shut me up now. I've gone from not talking to you now. You can't shut me up because I am passionate because I know what it's like to not have a voice. So I want to be the voice for the voiceless as such.
I tell
So
you
that's
what, I wouldn't like to be the person who tries to shut you up because it's not going to happen.
you have to physically gag me because
Yeah,
I just
it
won't shut
just
up.
won't happen. And I love it. And I love it. And I think you do get to that point in your life. And I certainly
Yeah.
feel it in terms of my life at the moment. And
Mm.
you'll have seen my own work that I'm doing around mental
Hmm.
health at the moment. And
Yep.
you'll have seen the work I've delivered on, as well as, kind of see it becoming a bestseller co-author in terms of Mental Health Volume 11, the Rattled Awake edition.
Hmm.
And my book is going to come out next year, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to write about my lived experience of mental
Good.
health and what it's like
Yeah.
for me in terms of my journey,
Good.
so
Yeah.
to inspire others
Yeah.
to
Oh, and
seek
you will
help and support.
inspire.
You
Mm.
know, and
Yeah.
and and we do it. Uh, we do it right, not to have a
Mm.
pity party, but we
No,
do it. But
course not.
we do it to inspire, we do it to
Mm,
encourage, we do
mm,
it to engage, we do
100%.
it
Yeah.
to connect
Mm,
with people and
yeah.
begin to have those real
Yeah.
conversations, not
Yeah.
what happened on
No.
EastEnders or Coronation Street last weekend.
No.
But
No.
actually, the biggest question probably you can ask somebody
How are
sometimes
you?
is, how are you? And
How are you really?
how are you really? Yeah,
That's the thing, yeah.
yeah,
Not, yeah, I'm fine. Oh, it's all good. I don't care. Tell me how you really are. Are you peed off today? Are you really hacked off about something? Tell me. I
yeah.
don't care.
Did
It's
you
not,
struggle to get up today? Did you
yeah,
struggle to get motivated today?
yeah. And
Are you struggling today?
yeah, and that's the thing. I don't, I want people to, and I'm trying to share and lead by example, not for a pity party, as you said. I like that term, but
Yeah,
because I want people to see that I'm not shy to admit it. Like I say, I've had times where my mental health's been so bad, I've not brushed my teeth every day. I've
yeah, I
not
get
washed my hair for weeks. And I have no shame in that. My mum, even my mum, as close as we are, she'll say to me, don't tell people that. And I'll say, I'm not going to whisper, I'll shout. Hands up, I haven't brushed my teeth today. I didn't wash my hair for months. I'm not ashamed because that's where my mental illness took me. Really, really bad because self-neglect is a big thing when it comes to
absolutely.
mental illness. If you're struggling, literally getting out of bed is hard work. You
Yeah.
can't be bothered to brush your teeth. You can't be bothered to change your clothes. You can't be bothered to wash. I've been there, I've done it. If that's where you are, don't be ashamed. Don't be. So what? Let's sit around together. If you want me to come around your house and sit with you in your dirty pajamas and we'll just wallow together, that's fine because that's part of the journey. You can't
Absolutely.
go from being at rock bottom to going for a run. And I know a lot of people say if you're struggling with your mental health, get out and have a walk, get out and go to the gym, go out with your friends. That's too big a hurdle for some people.
Yeah.
We need to dial it right down. And like how you have the autism spectrum, you have a depression spectrum, you have a mental illness spectrum, and more needs to be done to recognize that there are so many little gradients, like the term there are 50 shades of grey. There are a million shades of mental illness. And wherever you are on that spectrum, that's okay. There's a place for you. There's someone that understands. There's someone that's there with you. And there's scope where you can go from wherever you are on that spectrum. There's always hope.
Absolutely. I think I've just got a cover for a new book, A Million Shades of Mental Health. I love
There you go. That's a good one.
I
Yeah,
love that. I would
yeah,
love that. I would write that one down if I was you,
yeah.
Aisha.
Let's do it.
That's wonderful. When did you start to get your voice? What supported you to get your voice back?
Oh, do you know what? I don't know. It's one of them things where you don't know. I
Hmm.
guess it was just a little bit and often. And I
Hmm.
think in terms of how we connected, and when I started doing my videos was this year on Suicide Prevention Day. I think it was the 11th of September.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, because I thought to myself, right, I feel ready to get out there again. So I've been on social media off and on over the years, but came off it because I don't know about yourself, but you start to connect with some person, then someone else, and before you know it, you're trying to check in with so many different people, and it
Yeah.
becomes overwhelming. And
Yeah.
you feel like a failure because you think I'm trying to help so many people, and it's becoming too much for myself. I feel I'm a disservice to them because I'm not helping enough people in enough of a way. So I cut it off. So rejoined a few of the social media platforms, and I started doing posts like wordy posts, and then I thought I must do a video, and then like I say, Suicide Prevention Day came up, and I thought there's no time like the present. Let's do a post, and from then I just thought, what was all the fuss about? Just a short few minutes, if that. Get it out there, see what you can do, and I just started from there, and then I just thought, if you're going to do that, do more, keep doing. And I just want to keep building now because I'm just at that point where I've got no shame. For everyone that you're going to connect with, there are going to be people that aren't going to like your message, that are going to criticize you. And I just say, bring it on. I don't care. Thankfully, I'm very, very thick-skinned. It's like my mum, she says to me, "Oh, worry about you putting yourself out there. What if someone's critical?" And I say, bring it on. I genuinely don't care. And that's something which with mental health, I don't know if other people feel it, I don't know if you feel it, but you become sort of numb. And that can be a bad thing in terms of relationships because I used to be a very affectionate, lovey-dovey person. And when depression got me, I became very cold, very numb. And I was in a relationship and that finished because I just couldn't connect anymore. He was used to me being very affectionate and I just couldn't be it anymore. I came across as cold and horrible, but it's just mental health changes you, mental illness changes you. Um, so so yeah, now I'm numb, but in a good way because I don't let negativity, it doesn't penetrate. It just sits on the surface, Like I take it on board, I hear it, but it doesn't permeate me. It doesn't affect me negatively. I just take it on the chin and move forward. So I
Yeah,
think I'm the perfect vessel, as it were, to get the message out there, to take chances, to say it as it is. And if people want to hate on me for it, so be it. I just see it as if I can get that out there as much as possible and try and help people, that's fine by me. So I just want to do it, and I can't pinpoint where it came from. I just thought, why not? Let's just do it. It just the time feels right.
absolutely, absolutely, and I fully concur, and I couldn't agree with you more actually, because
Mm,
I'm 55 now, Aisha. I'll
mm,
be 56 next year.
mm.
I'm at a certain stage in my life where I
Yeah,
absolutely don't give a fuck.
yeah, same here. I don't, and it's so good. And I
It's
think that
so
is
yeah.
that's what we should all aim for. Not giving a monkeys, I'll say.
No,
No,
absolutely.
just don't care. So what? So
You
what?
know, and I go on the understanding, right? This is we connect on so many levels, but I go on the understanding that look, if people are ready to hear the message, they'll hear the message. If people aren't
Mm,
ready to hear the message, if it's not
hmm
for them, well, so what?
That's fine.
Change channel then.
Exactly. If you don't
Go
like
to,
it, do one.
yeah, go to another podcast. Stop reading my
Yeah.
posts. I don't mind. I'm not
Mm.
precious.
No, I'm not bothered.
But the people who are ready to hear it, the people who might need to hear it, the people
Yeah.
who are struggling to find that support, if they
Yeah.
connect with either
Yeah.
you or me on a mental health platform and they resonate, then
Yeah. Great.
you know
Our job is done. That's all it's
our
about.
job is
Yeah.
done. And you spoke about Andy's Man's Club, and
Hmm.
that whole organization was set as a result of, the objective was not have guys struggle with their mental health.
Absolutely.
Let's organize
Absolutely.
a meetup,
Yeah.
like park run, every week
Hmm.
to support guys in
Yeah.
mental health.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you
Mm.
know,
And on that note, if it's all right, I just want to make a point that so much good can come out of something so dark. When you think Andy's Man Club and many charities, they stem from the suicide of someone.
yeah,
And as heartbreaking and tragic as those awful losses are, and my God, if you could turn them back and bring back that person who is the founder, as it were, of these charities, of course everyone would, but the fact that the people that are devastated by suicide and mental illness are using that pain to channel into something good, you can't praise those people enough. It's like one of my bands that I'm wearing, if it's all right just to mention it. It's a lady. She started a charity after she lost her son, and it's called Happy to Chat, Happy to Listen. And they're based in Blairgowrie in Scotland. You probably
fabulous.
won't know of it. And
I
they
do,
do these
I
little,
do,
yeah,
yeah.
they do these little benches where the premise behind it is to sit on that bench, have a chat, reflect, and just have a chat with someone, a heart to heart, like you said,
Fabulous.
having the difficult conversations. They're only difficult because we think they're difficult. I don't think they're difficult. I'll sit and chat to anyone about anything. If you are strong, if you do feel suicidal, that's okay. It's all right. We've all, well, hopefully we've not all been there, but I've been there, you've been there. It's okay. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
And let's be absolutely real about this. At least 1 in 3 people, right, at the moment, according to the numbers,
Mm,
according to the
mm,
data that's out there, at some stage in their
yeah,
life, will have had some degree of
yeah,
mental health crisis or even some suicidal
mm,
ideation,
mm,
right? You
mm,
know, there are 40,000 workers in a population of about 22 million workers in the States, in the UK at the moment, who on a weekly basis will consider uh,
yeah,
suicide.
yeah.
40,000.
And it shouldn't be a taboo subject. It
It
shouldn't
shouldn't.
be.
It
It
shouldn't.
shouldn't. And no one's saying it's great. It's not great because like the saying it's okay to not be okay. Of course it's okay. But let's also face it, it's not nice to not be okay either. No
Yeah,
one wants to feel
yeah.
suicidal.
It
No
can
one wants to feel crap.
it can be horrible. It can be dark,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
But, but
very.
but there are so many beacons of light out there. You mentioned
So
that
many.
charity in Blair Galway.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I shout out to, Sean's Place in Liverpool. I shout out
Mm,
to Epic Hope
mm.
in Wigan. I
There
shout
are
out
so many.
I shout
Yeah.
out to Paul Vittles and
Mm,
his work that he's doing in terms of Zero Suicide Society. Shout out to Steve Phillips and Jordan's Legacy, and
mm.
they are so,
Yes. Yes.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they are so. I
Mm.
shout out to Three Dads Walking. You know,
Oh, those guys break my heart.
oh,
They are beautiful souls.
there are
Yeah.
so many beacons of light
Mm,
out there at the moment. There are
mm.
so many avenues that people
Yeah.
can get help,
Yeah.
get support. How was
Yeah.
it? And I ask people who come on these podcast episodes with me, Aisha, what was your experience of getting support from the NHS? What was it?
Oh, it was difficult. It wasn't good. I mean, I went to the doctors reluctantly many times. I say reluctantly because who wants, at that point, I wasn't able to talk
Mm,
about things.
mm,
I was, like I say, I was isolated. I've only ever lived with my parents, only child. My dad has never understood mental illness. He still doesn't to this day.
mm,
My mum didn't know much about it, thank goodness. I mean, who wants to be an expert in mental health? Not really, because it means you've experienced it either firsthand or, you know, but anyway, and doctors didn't understand. They'd ask a bit about my life. They'd say, "You're young, you've got everything to live for, you've got everything to be excited about. Do your education," because I think I sought help from the doctors about 18, 19, something like that.
yeah.
So you've got the typical rolled off a textbook, get on antidepressants, you'll be fine, that sort of thing. I did go on waiting lists through the NHS for counselling. That helped. That those waiting lists were long back then, and I know now they're horrifically long. So I would say my NHS experience very poor,
Okay.
but again, that's not their fault. They haven't got the resources. They're stretched,
Yeah.
very stretched. So somehow the internet was my lifeline. So I became aware of charities like Mind, Sane, Rethink. Mind, I got in touch with and got some counselling through them several times over the year. Over the years, I know they do like reduced rates for people. I don't know if they still offer that now, but that was helpful. And I know the NHS is getting better, but they need so much more funding. They need
Absolutely.
better. We need, like, how you can see a specialist for diabetes or your bones, whatever. We need specialists in mental health. So
Yeah.
when you ring up your doctor, first and foremost, you can get an appointment, quick, smart, not have to wait. You shouldn't have to ring at first thing in the morning, that sort of thing. But you need to say, I need an appointment with a mental health doctor, please, or a mental health nurse, please.
Yeah.
I think we're a long way off that. There's so much more that needs to be done help-wise for the NHS.
Absolutely, and certainly my experience as a mental health practitioner and wellbeing consultant is exactly that at the
Yeah.
moment for people where you do the 8 o'clock rush in the morning.
Yeah.
If you're
It's
not
crazy.
invited, if you're not
Yeah.
invited to Empire State, you
Yeah.
don't get an appointment.
Mm.
You
And the
know,
thing yeah, go on, sorry.
if you do manage, if you're lucky enough to speak to a
Mm,
doctor who will
mm,
listen, who
mm,
refers you for an appointment, and you go on a waiting list.
mm.
At the moment, for adults in the UK, the average waiting time is about 2.5 years.
I mean, that's just insane. That's just
Two, yeah.
crazy. Who can
But
wait 2.5 weeks,
I
let alone
know.
years?
Who can wait 2.5 days? Never mind 2.5 years. And it's even worse for children and young people.
Mm,
If you want a support session for a child or
yeah.
young person right now,
Mm,
the average waiting times for young CAMS mental health is 3 years.
mm. There are no words for that. But
Yeah.
something that there are words for in terms of the NHS. Something else that needs to be thought about is how you access the help. Because I know when I was really bad, I wouldn't have been able to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Anxiety was a big issue for me. I wouldn't want to speak on the phone. It's only recently that I make and take phone calls. I didn't used to be able to do that. Even a year ago, to have this podcast with you now would be unthinkable.
Yeah.
So maybe there needs to be introduce a system where you can access NHS help via text message or via email if you can't speak, because anxiety can be a big issue. And also, I don't know again what it's like now. If and when you do get that help with counselling through the NHS, if you miss an appointment, you're off. They
You're
just boot you out,
yeah,
and that negates to um, appreciate that sometimes people on the day your mental health
can't
is so
face
bad
it.
you can't make the appointment, you can't get out of bed that day. So if that happens and you can phone up and say, look, I can't make my appointment today, can I reschedule? They can't say to you, no, I'm sorry, you've missed an appointment, get back on the waiting list. That's not realistic. The mental health structure, the treatment structure that's in place right now doesn't fit
It's
what mental illness is.
no, no. You're absolutely right, and I think
It was an appointment for physio because you'd broken your leg, and you phoned up and you said, I can't make my physio today because I can't get a driver, I can't get driven to my appointment. They wouldn't say, well, that's obscene, you're off the list, forget about it. But when it comes to your mental health, they overlook that,
yeah,
you know.
absolutely, absolutely. There are so many, and don't get me wrong. There's some great people that work for
Of
the
course, I'm
NHS.
not
There's
knocking
some,
them, of course not.
and there's some great people trying to do the absolute
Absolutely.
best that they
And like
can.
I say, it's not their fault. They're
It's
on
not their
limited
fault,
resources. It's
but
not their fault.
they're working in a system right now. They're working
That's
in a
flawed.
structure that's completely broken,
Hmm.
and it is without any shadow of a doubt,
Yeah,
without any
yeah.
sense of the imagination, in some
Mm-hmm.
degree of crisis at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. You know, and I suppose there was a real movement, some years ago called Rethink Mental Illness, and I think the
Yeah,
NHS need to rethink
yeah,
mental illness,
absolutely.
how they
They have
support
to.
mental illness at the moment to
Mm-hmm.
make it more proactive, make it
Mm-hmm.
more
It
present.
needs funding and it needs people like me and you that have got lived experience to come
100%.
in and help them create new programs, new structures. It really
I have
does.
no doubt in my mind,
Yeah.
or I have absolutely no doubt in my mind, and there is some, there are some real good pockets of work being done by the NHS at the
I'm
moment,
sure. Yeah.
who recognise the great work that some of these charities who have been going
Mm.
for years
Yeah.
on very little or no budget
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
are doing some great work, and they are actually saving lives. They are
Mm.
actually saving lives.
Yeah.
They are actually preventing suicides, not only prevention, but actually postvention and supporting people afterwards to seek the help or support they
Mm.
need, to get the
Yeah.
help and support they need to get better
Mm.
and to get well.
Mm. Mm.
It's it's a testimony to so many charities, the length and breadth of this country,
Oh,
who
we'd be lost without them.
who recognize that there is a need and they're trying to fulfill that need
Mm.
in so many ways.
Mm.
Aisha,
Mm.
the $64 million question I've got for you now.
Okay.
If somebody's listened to this podcast today and is really struggling with their mental health and has been in a place where both you and I have been in terms of increased anxiety, not wanting to speak, not wanting to talk, but really
Mm.
struggling with their mental health. What what word of advice or what word of encouragement would you give them?
I would say to them, I've been there. Believe me, I know what it's like. I've been there where you don't want to carry on anymore. And as ugly as it is, you want out, you want to go to sleep, you don't want to wake up. I've been there. I know what it's like. Believe me, and I hate the cliche of if I can do it, you can do it. I'm not preaching that it's easy, but I have been there and I know it's possible to come back from it. If you see this, you've obviously seen my profile, message me. I'll be there for you. If you're able to speak, make a phone call to one of the charities. You've got the Samaritans, you've got mine. There are loads of them. Reach out that way. If you're lucky enough to have a friend, tell them how you feel. If you've got your social media, put in the hashtag mental health. You'll get infiltrated with so many great organizations out there. But the main thing is just to hold on, even if it's second by second and minute by minute. And I've been there where it's literally minute by minute. I've been in a dark place where I can't see tomorrow. That feels too far. So you do it by the hour. You think, right, I'm holding on by my fingernails right now. I'll get through the next hour. And if you, whatever you have to do, do it. Don't feel bad about it. I've gone through periods, like I mentioned before, eating disorders, where you comfort eat to get by. You watch an old film to get by. Whatever source of support or feel good that gets you by, engage in it. Don't feel ashamed of it. Don't explain it. Just do what you need to do to survive. If it means, pets are a great source of support. I've had pets all my life. I haven't got any at the moment, but when I was housebound and wasn't going out, I had bunnies, and it was called Bunny Barn. And in my garden, we had about 20 bunnies, and they were my reason to get up in the morning. I had no other reason but to get up and feed them. I had guinea pigs, and I'd hear them from my room. I was upstairs, they were downstairs. You could hear them squeaking. Breakfast time, there's my reason to get up in the morning. Whatever reason you can find just to keep going, hold on to it. And if you can't, and you're crying and you have to cry yourself to sleep and go back to sleep for an hour, that's okay, because God willing, you'll wake up and you'll have one more degree of fight in you. But the main thing is, if you see this podcast and you're in a dark place, reach out to me, reach out to Séamus. We're here. We understand. We haven't got the answers, but we can signpost you to places that can give you help and support. And we can tell you, we are sat here today on the 25th of October, 2024, as living proof that you can get there. Yeah, you can. It will be okay.
It absolutely will. It absolutely
will.
will. And it's the darkest just before the dawn, as
Absolutely.
Churchill used to say. And a lovely phrase that I use sometimes is, the sun is just always above the clouds. The sun is always there.
Absolutely.
We just
Yeah. And another thing to remember is that where you are today, there was a point where you didn't think you could get there, if that makes sense. I think another thing we're all too guilty of is thinking about the next step and the next step, and we haven't fulfilled this dream yet. We haven't done that yet. What about the now? Scale it back.
Yeah.
That's my vision overall, is to go small. This go big or go home. That's great, but sometimes we're not there yet. Let's scale it right back. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Think small, because it's all relative, isn't it? Because like I say, if yesterday or today, yesterday, and the day before, you got up, you brushed your teeth, you got dressed, well done. That is good enough. Don't worry about getting out the front door, making a friend, applying for a job. Just be relative to where you're at. Don't compare yourself. Small, steady, and only be in competition with yourself. To hell with the rest of the world. Focus on you.
Wow. What a on that note, I can't compete. I think that is a fantastic image. I think that's a fantastic message. Aisha, you've absolutely blown it out of the water in terms of
It's been lovely.
I am so grateful and honored and humbled that you decided to come on my podcast show.
The pleasure is mine, Séamus. Thank you so much.
And I think what you're doing and how you're doing it, I absolutely celebrate. I am absolutely with you. I'll walk this path with you. I'm on this journey with you.
High five us, we'll do it.
High five, absolutely, right. And the thing about connection is that if we are aligned, which I think we are, that connection will go stronger. That connection will go outward. So you will be able to connect with more people. I will be able to connect with people, and it's through connection.
Yeah. Connection is key.
Connection is absolutely key. Yeah. Right? So, on that basis, Aisha Esat, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. God bless you. You're a star.
God bless you too. And links to all the organizations we spoke about today will be available in the show notes. Please look at the show notes for comments. And if you are struggling today, do as Aisha said, scale it right back. Do something that makes you feel better. Do something small. If you do need to go back to sleep, go back to sleep. If you do need something to eat, get something to eat. If you do need to look after yourself and look after one another. And Aisha, look after you today.
Mental health matters, Séamus. Take care.
Mental health matters, Aisha. Thank you.
Bye.